Hey guys, this is Electro.
Hey guys, I'm Guardian.
This is Daps.
This is Nico.
This is
This is Rops.
This is Fair.
Godzilla.
Flusha.
This is Kerrigan, and you listen to Truth.
The truth. The truth. The truth. The truth.
The truth about Counter-Strike.
As I was just saying, we haven't spoken since Paris. And my conclusion from that interview was, wait a second, Sycrone is the genius behind this core and their ascent from the academy leagues all the way to, at that point, I think he was just a top 5 team. Now it's pretty clear it's you, Spirit, Vitality, who are vying for the top position. Would you agree with that?
Currently, I think there's no question that it's Vitality at the top. But if there is someone in the conversation, definitely us in Spirit. And if the Lisbon final showed us anything, it's that we can go toe-to-toe with Vitality.
Yeah. And you can't win, 20 in a row now? You can't just keep rolling heads, right?
Actually, if it weren't for Vitality, I think we would also be at like a 20-game win streak.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
really?
Yeah, we only lose to them now.
Okay, so maybe there's a non-Vitality game streak that you guys need to publicise that wasn't Liquid in that sort of the same boat with Astralis in 2018?
Yeah, that's true.
So I guess what's happened since we last spoke is 2 large roster changes. Mm-hmm. And I know there's plenty of people in your team who've spoken about them ad nauseum, and I'm pretty sure you've been interviewed after games and stuff about them. But the biggest one and the biggest surprise for me, obviously, has been the removal of Siuhy, because when we spoke, he was a shining superstar with Gamer Legion. Mm-hmm. And it seemed obvious that he would come back, and then it took everyone by surprise when he was removed. Now, this is not a monologue, by the way. I'm going to ask you a question at some point. Mm-hmm. I wasn't personally surprised by that, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
When I was standing watching Gamer Legion in the finals at Paris, he wasn't talking that much. I felt like he wasn't quite the leader I thought he was, from the way he conducted his interviews and how intelligent he was. He obviously was. I've heard maybe Exertion say he wasn't kind of the micromanaging type. Was there something that was missing in the team that he wasn't bringing?
Obviously. Otherwise, we wouldn't have made a roster swap. I think also with Siuhy, we had our most successful year in Mouz so far. I mean, we had a great 2024, a lot of high placings. I think from a coaching standpoint, it was a very draining year as well. It took a lot of effort to get that far in every tournament and to keep things moving forwards all the time. And ultimately, quite early on in this year, we made a decision not to move forwards with that. I still think Camel is a bright star, as you put it. He has a lot to learn. I think also a lot of the top IGLs out there right now didn't have an easy path going there. Even for a guy like Kerrigan, he was out of teams a few times, had to refine himself a little bit, and you get tested. And I think probably in the leadership position is one of the most demanding ones, also in terms of your journey to the top. And I think there's still a lot of development ahead of him.
So do you think it was as tough for you keeping the reins on him and getting him to be the captain you needed as it was maybe for Zonic with Kerrigan back in the Astralis days? Is that an analogy that works?
With Kerrigan back then, I think it was a wish for the full team to play sort of in a different direction. Mm-hmm. They want to play a bit more structured. Mm-hmm. And Kerrigan loves to play a little bit loose on the fly, mid-round call quite a lot, play a little bit explosive, and the team were looking for some consistency in how they played. And I think at times also for us, this was a little bit the case. Cameron is a really creative guy. He loves to go with the in-the-moment sort of feeling, and you can get a lot of freedom under him, definitely. To some extent, maybe the structure the team was looking for wasn't the same that he was providing.
Right, so you're looking for someone who was more channeling what you guys had talked about in practice and prepared for and strats you'd come up with, and
partially that for sure. Also maybe someone who is more pushing the system that the team believes in.
Right. So he actually believed in a different way of playing Counter-Strike.
To some extent, definitely.
Mm. You're so cagey.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that was my impression, right, as to why he might have been kicked. But then I've heard your comms, and I have to say, your comms they're almost sickening. I mean, it's like pure candy. Everyone is so happy and congratulatory of each other, and it's actually amazing how happy everybody is, and yet Brolin isn't speaking that much. He's not constantly going, guys do this, guys do this, guys do this. He's just occasionally riding the ship and stuff. So it obviously wasn't that Siuhy wasn't talking enough. It's just this vision.
I think with our team, we already have a group of players that are quite talkative. I think a guy like Syuhy has a massive capacity when it comes to facilitating, organizing. I think even though he's a top player currently, he's still very underrated. He offers so much in the game, and the space he creates and how he organizes and communicates all the time. I think also we have just a setup where there's a huge demand for good communication. So it has to come from everyone at the right moment with the right tone. And I don't think necessarily the IGL has to be the guy that talks constantly. Like, you're not always in that right position. I think it's a guy that needs to give direction when it's unclear. Someone who should be unselfish at times or most of the time and put the team first and foremost. I think Brolin is that kind of guy.
When you say there's a setup that needs good communication, do you mean like specifically the way you play Counter-Strike compared to other teams, you need good communication?
I think it's just in general in Counter-Strike. It's such an information-based game, and communication is probably half of the game.
Right. I'm sure a lot of people have asked you about how unlikely a candidate Brolin seemed. My impression of him, my overwhelming impression of him, was when Siuhy joined Fnatic. And I think there was a clip of him saying, "Is this really my fucking team?" So he's obviously like, some players, I get the sense that when they transfer, it's like they've suddenly got a second chance to show who they are. Like when Magus went to Astralis. Is that what it feels like when he's now IGLing?
I think with Brolin, it felt that way ever since we picked him up.
Well, that's what I mean, really.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, for sure. And I think you see this often with players that they get a little bit of a resurgence in a different environment. Res, for example, on Gamer Legion, standout player.
True.
Yeah. And
Brolin's time in Fnatic doesn't count.
No, I mean, he was also good Fnatic, right? He was a top player.
I'm playing the meme.
Yeah. I see.
Yeah. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah, what was your question exactly?
I don't know what my question was. Well, how's Spinks going?
Yeah, Spinks is good. I think he came in from day one and had an impact. Instantly spoke up in team conversations, trying to bring some of his experience. Mentally, I think already a guy you can rely on quite a bit. Where some of the other guys are a bit more inexperienced. We work a lot on how to cope and deal with pressure and tools and different ways to go about that. And he's a bit further ahead in that development.
Yeah, right. He's played the big games.
Yes, yeah.
So you guys had Spirit's number, especially last year. They couldn't win against you. Now, how are you going to reverse the tables on this Vitality rivalry?
Yeah, so I've had a lot of time to think about this, also because before it was Vitality, it was FaZe.
Yeah.
I think also if not for FaZe, we would have won a lot of finals in 24. I've tried many angles on it, and the truth is that there's no secret sauce. There's no magic that's gonna get you there. It has to be in the details. It has to be that you demand the highest from the team and from yourself in terms of how you play, the effort you put in. Of course, it is smart work, but it also has to be hard work, and it's just a lot of that. So we're looking a lot at the details, trying to maximize, optimize, and as soon as we're ready, we're gonna get it. Give
me one detail. Just drop a detail on me.
Any team look at these things, but for example, utility. I think our players are not usually the best at utility. If I look at Vitality, I think it's something that all of their players are quite good at. Like Robs, even Siuhy, they manage to squeeze a lot out of every piece of utility, and they're smart about it. And I think trying to find new ways to go about this. Something else we're trying to look at a lot on right now is city sides. Like, what are the details that define a good city side? Also because the game has really shifted from being city-sided, a bit equal, to now being mostly T-sided, also for us. And I think if you can crack that code on making it also successful on the city side, probably have a winning formula for the moment.
Do you think anyone's cracked that code right now?
No, I don't think so. There is some maps definitely where some teams have it. Without spoiling too much, I think, for example, some of what Vitality have been doing against us, for example, on Nuke, has been quite solid. I think if you look and observe those games, you can probably see some of the things they're up to, and what makes it so consistent. I think overall the big themes is that you need to make it uncomfortable for the T side. You need to force them into certain areas, and then it's really tough to play your style. And then the T's must have a deep playbook that is very versatile. You can be anywhere on the map at any time, and not just, for example, for us, I think we play a lot of outside rounds on Nuke. Like, it's really our bread and butter, and we've been winning a lot on that. And then it tells you take a different approach to stack a lot outside. They force you to go different areas, and then the mind games develop. I think it was the same for them on Dust 2 against us. They really exploited B, they exploited long, and then they went a bit more for short, and then now at this point where they're at, they start to fake it. And I think it's also a question that we meet each other a lot. With the CG sides for sure.
I feel like when a team meets each other a lot, it becomes that thing when you look into a mirror and there's another mirror behind you, and you go, well, how far back in the fake game are we playing now? Are they going to play what we did last game, or are they going to play what they did the game before? Or are they going to fake us out and pretend like they're going to play what they did? Like, how far back do you go? You drive yourself crazy.
Yeah, it's also different from team to team. I think in all of that, as long as you don't lose your own identity, you're good.
Right.
Like, are we still getting advantage from trying this variation of this thing here? Do we get to the spot and the looks we want? I think a team like Vitality is really good at thinking about what they did themselves and how they need to change that up a bit, more so than what's the other guys going to come with in terms of variation. I think they make more variations of their own stuff than the other way around.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
They're active rather than reactive.
Exactly, yeah.
Hey, Mr. Sycrone, before I let you go, you've been at the top now for, I'd say, 2 years. Before that, you were like rising like a fucking rocket. What do you think? 2 years?
I mean, I've been coaching for 4 years,
Yeah.
I think, yeah. And the first half year with the academy team, obviously, made top 30. One day we played titles. Then first year in Tier 1, had to find our footing. Also, we started outside top 30 with the Mouz team.
Yeah.
Had to grind up to top 20, top 15. I think the last 2 years we've been top 10 consistently.
Yeah. How do you personally take care of yourself? Because you got to be the sharpest brain out of all of those.
That's
kids.
a tough question. The truth is, I don't always. I think I really sacrifice also a lot of my own time sometimes. If it's staying a day extra at events to talk with some players, even last year I flew out to players' homes to talk with them and do some coaching.
You visit their homes?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and
aren't they all over the place?
I mean, yeah.
That's Europe, I guess.
Yeah, it's Europe, so
Yeah.
It is a lot of work, and I think you have to put the team first, always.
Right.
And I saw the other day that Swane did an HLTV interview, and he said he, for a year straight, he did all the anti-strat as well.
Yeah.
Like, I was also there the first 2 years in Mouz.
Yeah.
I did everything, and
Yeah.
I would prepare all 5 maps, and if it could be 6 maps, I prepared 6 maps. And we didn't have an analyst, so very stressful. And I think with the current setup and over time, it becomes a little bit easier, also because you find ways of being efficient, and you figure out more like what is the direction I go for. Also have more people now. I have Andreas helping a little bit.
Yeah.
And the staff and the financial support has also grown in Mouz, so it's become a bit easier. How I take care of myself, I talk a lot about balance with the players. Yeah. I try and maintain the same. If it's a bit of gym, if it's taking my own time off, sometimes I read a little bit, listen to music.
What do you read?
Mostly coaching books.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Did you read Lars Rebel's book?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Did you read Zonic's book?
I didn't. No.
Well, that's good to hear you're at least taking care of yourself. It sounds like you've been on the grind though. How old are you?
29.
Okay, well you're getting to the stage where like you're going to have to start seeing your family and taking care of your social life a bit more.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, for the first time ever, recently when we were in Lisbon, it was my brother's wedding, my big brother, and we qualified for the playoffs in Lisbon, and I went to my brother's wedding for just that day.
That's right, and Civic stood, right?
He stood in for the playoffs. I think the wedding was on a Saturday, so early Saturday it started. So I couldn't be there for Friday, and I traveled in on Sunday morning to be there for the finals. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, your brother would have appreciated that.
Yeah, he really did. Yeah, I did as well. It's the first time in 4 years I could take a day off.
First time in 4 years you took a day off?
Yeah, I mean, from team practice or any. Yeah.
So you had a sick day?
No. I think it's also pretty uncommon to have a sick day. No, I don't know.
Is it?
I don't know. At least in this industry, there's always a tournament or something, right? When we played the finals in Cluj-Napoca this year, I was very sick actually during those days. I also had to skip the signing session, and I was so doped up on medicine at the end that it was actually a bit of a shame. I didn't feel like I could really appreciate that tournament win.
Torsi's poking his head in.
I felt like I couldn't really appreciate that tournament win because I was just on anything I could get to try and stay afloat.
Oh shit. Well, take care of yourself, man.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And I hope you enjoy Melbourne and good luck.